Welcome back to another episode of Linked, a conversation across generations, an intergenerational conversation on wisdom. I'm super excited to bring you today's episode as we continue to talk about wisdom, talk about the flavor of life. One of the things that we didn't get to talk about last week was just how important words are. And so we're going to be touching in on the power of words and the roots of words in different languages. That's one of the blessings that we have with, and by we I mean people who are multilingual, is that your relationship with words can have more of a context, right? And so I'm excited to bring all that to you today. I hope you enjoyed last episode. We're gonna keep this wave flowing. We're gonna keep on surfing. Thank you. Please don't go anywhere. Let's get into it.
Oye,
All right, we on. Welcome to another episode of Linked, a
órale.
conversation, an intergenerational conversation on wisdom, on sabiduría, aquí con Esteban Ruelas.
Yo,
How you doing?
good. Kind of hot.
Kind of hot. It is kind of hot in Los Angeles today. And today we'll start off. It's Friday, June 12th. So we made it another week.
Yep.
And so we're gonna. I think our intention for this time and this conversation is to continue to talk about wisdom. And I think that as we were talking yesterday, one of the things that came up for me, even as I was listening to our last episode, was the idea around the art of. And I think as I think about the different words that we talked about, I think of like the art of crisis, right? The art of pedaling, the art of cycles. And so I think that that's going to be another avenue for us to just talk about things. It's like, it's so beautiful the way you described how your brother always thought about the art of things. And I think that's going to be one of the things that we explore.
Yeah. It's like when we're born, who knows what we know, right? I mean, there are many theories, but and as we grow, we learn, and then we have to learn to learn again. And with the years, we start missing the art of living. Seeing the beauty of being alive. Because we start disliking things or people or actions or attitudes or whatever. So it seems like we transfer ourselves from this to this character. So we end up not seeing the beauty, the art of living, and all we see is what we weren't supposed to see. I mean, we're humans and we have a mind, but sometimes we forget what the mind is for. See, the mind is for not too many things, but for a few things. So
we can even, that's an interesting place to start, right? What is the art of the mind?
To plan, to dream. To dream and to plan. That's it. All the rest are files.
To plan and to dream, yeah. And I think one of the things that the mind is constantly trying to do is keep us safe. And so I think there are times when,
That could be the body, though. You know, the
well, and
mind
I'm
is the body.
thinking in times of planning, right? The
Oh,
mind's always planning because it wants to keep us safe.
that's not the kind of plans I'm talking about. I'm talking about planning for the future, not planning to survive. You know, you when you dream, you're projecting yourself ahead. And when you can see that dream, then see the plans are not in solid ground. So you have the plans, but the plans are gonna change as you move forward. See, I mean, I have many examples that I can give, biblical or not biblical. But again, if you study psychology or if you study philosophy, you study theology or any of those, uh, you know, the mind is more like to dream and to plan, but not planning of surviving, the planning of how to fulfill the dream, but not going back. See, the thing is that sometimes we think we're thinking, but we're not thinking. The mind is thinking for us. But it's not thinking, it's just going back to the files that we have. But anyways, I don't know if
I mean, that's the art, right? That's why we're talking about what the art of it is, because when I talk about planning for survival, that's something that's habitual, and it's not always within our conscious. It would be nice for it to be within our conscious to plan, like you're saying, for thriving. And it's true that one of the intentions I had for my sound bath was we live the given life, not the planned life.
the thing is that we weren't supposed to worry about surviving. Our we have all the resources to survive, to be alive. We don't need to worry about surviving. Even people with disabilities, they're capable. And when someone isn't capable, God, the universe, or it's going to provide. We cannot allow the mind to take over. We are to use our minds. Our mind is beautiful. It's one of the greatest things it can be, besides the heart and the body.
One of the things that comes up for me is, especially with what's going on right now, is also the art of survival. And I know that you're
But
moving in one direction, I'm moving in the other, but that's a part of our relationship. So, in terms of the art of surviving, right, I think that's not something that people are prepared to do. And so when they think about surviving, it is scary. I wish that, like you're saying, this stuff were true, and
viewers
I
and
know it
listen
is true.
from Cat.
What? Go for it.
Okay, I think I put this song for you before. It's from Cat Stevens. It's called Father and Son. See, you are young. It's not your
Thank you.
fault. You know what I mean? I am old. See, survive. Trust me, I've seen many people die before they're born, when they're born, at 5 years old, at 15 or 20 or 50 or 60. One thing is for sure, we're dying. We have to live before we die. And you have the mind to dream and to plan. I'm not talking of planning to survival. It's just planning to fulfill the dream. Knowing that just because you say from A to B, And then to C to D doesn't mean it's gonna go that way. Sometimes you're gonna jump to D and then you're gonna come back to B.
Most likely because of cycles.
You know, so you can go to any. I was studying today at this scientist, uh, Helfinger, something like that. I mean, he worked with Hitler during World War II, and he has a theory about how nothing's stable. Everything's moving. Everything's moving all the time. Nothing's stable. Nothing. And he can give you, the example on science, of philosophy, with molecules, with thoughts, with anything. Nothing's stable.
That's why it's all a vibe. That's why I talk about the frequency and the vibe, because that's what we are. We're vibrations. Our minds just turn that vibrations into something solid so that it's easier for us to process.
Yeah, but remember, before you vibrate, there's something in between. I think we talked about that before, didn't we? See, what
We've
are we?
talked about lots of things.
I know. What are we? We are energy and we are vibration. But there's something in between the energy and the vibration. I mean, you can tell people to vibrate, but they can't vibrate. Or they will vibrate their vibrations. Because we all vibrate according to our information. We are information. See? Think about that. Think the beauty of being alive, the beauty of being assertive, and the beauty of being, what is the opposite of being of assertive?
Being calm, accepting, surrendering.
No, no, no. Like when you're assertive, when you're right, when you're
Assertive.
yeah, assertive. Yeah. What is the
Assertive is
opposite?
like when you're
What is the
um,
antithesis? What is the antithesis of assertive? Let's just say not being assertive. So imagine the beauty of being assertive and the beauty of not being assertive. The beauty of being right and the beauty of being a mess. You know what I mean?
mhm.
There's nothing wrong. There's no beauty. There's no doing right and being a mess.
I mean, I see it, and you know, it's to an extent, it's even easy for me to accept that, and still, right? We have to talk about the art of it because it seems like that's not a part of the training that people get, right?
See, the thing with the training, see, like Tony DeMello, he said, what are the purpose of the masters? The purpose of the masters is for the disciple know that they don't need a master.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I heard you and I agree with you with the training. The only thing is that we are so codependent and so dependent that instead of being trained, we become attached. Not linked, but attached. And attachments creates the problems. You know what I mean?
The style of attachment,
See,
right?
link
Because
is not
there's
attached.
a secure attachment style, which is more like linked, I think what you're talking about. And then there's insecure, there's enmeshed in terms of attachment styles, which are less healthy. And these attachment styles are not always conscious to us, right?
They're not. I understand your point of view because I agree that we don't live consciously. I mean, that we live unconsciously. But it's not because the train. It's not because we haven't been trained. Life itself, it's a better school than anything. Every day you have to crash. Every day, you know what I mean? Every day you have to put yourself in a position. And every day we have to act. What better training?
No, and I agree. And I think when I'm I think one of the things that surprises anybody, and this is generational, right, is the things that get communicated and the things that don't get communicated. And I think a lot of times there can be a miss in the things that don't get communicated as opposed to the things that do.
Again, I believe that, and I agree. It's just that I believe that if we can show the beauty of being alive, the beauty of thinking, the beauty of using the mind to dream, to plan. And when I say plan, I say it like this, like because sometimes we think because we plan it's done. No, you plan. You plan on losing weight. So you plan, so you go to sign up at the gym, you go and buy some nice tennis shoes and clothes, but you need to go to the gym and you need to follow the routine. Because if you don't, it's going to be a waste. You know what I mean? So plan, it doesn't mean like plan. Oh, I already plan it. I already plan it. Trust me, I plan so many things. I can show you so many plans. You know, but the beauty of the dream is like when you're dreaming. You ever been dreaming that you're dreaming and send somebody wake you up? And you're like, why you wake me up? But then you go back to sleep and you get back to the same dream. Like, you know,
Sometimes you go back to the nice one. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you go back to the nightmare. Sometimes you
I
don't.
just use that as an example. Because the dream that
Oh,
we're
excuse
talking
me.
about is the dream that you build. Is our dream that we build ourselves with our minds.
And so then, for the sake of conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
In how much time, in terms of percentage, is the art of minding then,
Daily,
right? Of being in our mind. Like for me, I think I've been writing a lot about being mindful and being mindless. And I think we use the language of mindful here in the United States when we're talking about someone being present,
yeah.
be mindful, right? And I think it's kind of funny because I'm like, actually, you should be mindless,
It's
right?
actually be mind empty, empty mind.
Or empty mind. Yeah, I'm playing on words here because I think how often do we give ourselves the opportunity to be mindless? We're always mindful. Our mind is always full and we're always being hooked by whatever's in there, by whatever our environment is, by the things that we caught as children. But we never give ourselves the opportunity to be mindless, which I think is like you're saying, empty mind. And in that empty mind, that's where I think I hear you talking about the process, right? When if you want to lose weight and you have used your mind to plan the losing of the weight, then there has to come a time when you work out. When you're working out, it's mindless. You have to be empty minded. Your mind has to be empty to really enjoy and appreciate the act, the process of working out. If not, you're gonna have a mind. Your mind's gonna be full, and you're not gonna enjoy working out. You're not gonna want to go work out anymore, or you're not gonna want to sustain your diet. You're not gonna want to sustain the things that are gonna help you reach the goal.
It's because if it's not your dream, it has to be your dream. You know what I mean? It has to be your dream. Because if it's not our dream, you know what I mean? If that's why many people think they have a dream. They don't have a dream, they have a desire. Desires are in dreams. Dream is a vision. So before and after, we need to see the beauty of anything. See? You have to believe that whatever you're creating is beautiful. The problem comes when you start thinking or you start allowing your mind to think for you, to bring up all the files, and then you remember so and so don't like it, so and so might not like it, so and so la da da, so then you start building obstacles. You know what I mean?
You start manifesting. That's what I would call, yeah,
Yeah,
obstacles.
you start being present on the wrong place at the wrong time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. You put yourself in situations that are going to manifest those things that you believe in. You have unconscious thoughts that are come from files that were put by somebody else unconsciously that are negative, then you're going to continue to manifest it until you become
They
conscious
don't
of
have
these
to be.
files
They
that
don't have
you
to
need to
be
get rid
negative.
of.
They don't have to be negative or positive. They're just not. They're just thoughts. They're just there. You know what I mean? That's it.
Not negative or positive, you're right. And they're not
Yeah.
going to manifest your dreams,
It's just
right?
not going to help you. You
They're
know,
going to manifest your dreams then.
it's going to hold you. And then instead of just seeing the beauty, you're going to start seeing what you're not supposed to see. It's like what is the problem with being poor? There's no problem. What is the problem with being Latino or black? It's no problem. What is the problem with being white or yellow? There's no problem. What is the problem with being any gender? What is the problem? What is the problem? When that problem was created, and who created it? And the worst is who allows it. I
Well,
mean, I understand
everything
right now
is,
we're struggling with the races and the colors. Trust me, I don't believe in colors. I believe in humans to transcend to individuals, to transcend to be a person. If someone doesn't transcend from being a human to an individual, that person will never know who he is or she is or whoever is. And if they don't transcend to become a person, they will never know that they were important in this world, that they were here for a purpose, that we were here to fulfill something, to do something, not just for us, but for others.
I agree. And I would just add that in the transition from being a universal being to becoming a unique being, that in that journey, we do find ourselves in group identities. And I think that it, our life is transformed, and it is then our job. This is what I think our job, if we wish to be conscious beings,
Uh-huh.
to become aware of the patterns of pain, really specifically suffering, the patterns of suffering on planet Earth, and that then we can ride those waves. Because I don't think we can stop suffering, and we want to be. I think it's important to be conscious of them, and a lot of suffering that happens in between that point is between groups, and there's power, and there's privilege, and there's oppression, and there's all these pieces that I like to say both and, you know, I'm a spiritual being, and I'm on this journey, and I'm conscious of what's happening in the earth, you
But
know, around race, which even though it's not real, it is real.
see, why is it real? And the reason why it's real is because we allow it to be real. When do we allow it to be real? We allow it to be real when we use the sentence or the phrase I think. I think. I think. No, you don't think. You think you're thinking. Because tomorrow you're not gonna be the same person that you were today. So
It,
in 20 years from now, you're not gonna be the same. So if you think that you think, you are not thinking. See what we need?
I would disagree only because I'm a conscious person. And so I know that when I say I think now, that doesn't have to mean that I think that later. And most people don't say that. Most people won't even claim what they think. They like to say one, they like to say we, they like to say everybody, so that they
You know,
don't have to claim what they think. And I think that
probably
that's an important part of the process, so that people actually have to be held accountable. What do you
probably what
believe?
can help is I think at this moment,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? At this moment, this is what I think. Is this is it, what I use is this. When I see you in the morning and I say what to you? I say good morning, right? When I
Mm-hmm.
see you in the evening, what do I say? Good
Got
evening.
it. Good evening.
It's the same day, but it's morning or evening. It's the same thing with the thinking. See, the thing is, and this is where it comes to beauty of this. The mind is tricky. The mind don't like to think because if it thinks, it's only to dream and to plan.
Mm-hmm.
See, like when you get stuck in something, trust me, you're not moving forward. I mean, and I feel, and I'm sorry to say it, and I don't know if you want to put this on YouTube or not, but
I'm gonna put all of
well,
it.
wait, huh? Want to pause it?
I said I'm gonna put all of it.
Okay. When we get stuck in races, we have a problem. This is not going to work. It's not going to move forward. Trust me, any race, if you give him power, it's going to become what we don't like. See, there was a person in Mexico, El Negro Durazo, he always said, you want to test someone, give him power. You know, let's if it's me, I'm old. Let's help humans. See,
The thing
because
is, if you're unconscious and you say that, you just mean people that are privileged, and that's just the truth. And that's why I say that.
in
You
my
know, if we just say humans, the truth is because we're not.
in my
And
privilege, I am privileged to
no,
be a
you're not. And you know, that's what we mean right now in the United States 2020. That's why if we were conscious beings having a talk on the top of Mount Everest without minds or bodies,
but
then
see
you would be right. But we're not. We're in this dimension, you know,
the
and
thing
that's
is, I
where.
can travel to Mexico, I can travel to Colombia, Ecuador, I can travel to other countries. So it's not United States. It's everywhere
Mhm.
because we haven't learned to be humans. We haven't learned to understand. See, let's say like someone says, a Martian comes up today, and then knocks at the door, and then he says, "Where am I?" We're not going to say in the United States, right? We're not going to say in Mexico. We're not going to say in Russia. What are we going to say? You're on planet
Planet
Earth.
Earth. Yeah,
That's who we are.
that's who we are, and the world we live in, right? And this is, I think it's fine because this is going to be our difference, and that's what generational
It's gonna
differences
be. It's
are.
gonna be. It's gonna be. The thing is that remember, people like to follow. You know what I mean? You want me to say it better? Better pronunciation. People like to follow. People like to create images. I don't want to be an image. I'd rather be a voice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't want to be a master. See, I don't want to. See, the thing is that people are looking to follow. So to see living using their mind,
You froze a
not
little
to
bit.
get stuck in frozen. Did you get my last point or no?
No.
La idea sería ayudar a la gente que no se quede atorada, ¿sí? Yo lo he visto, yo lo he visto siempre, y cuando digo siempre, I mean always, con la gente that we get stuck, ¿sí me entiendes? So, you can say the racist thing and all that, and you can say all of that, but remember, you understand it. The other people don't. And
They don't
they're
understand.
following you.
Anybody who follows me, which I'll tell you right now is not really anybody, um, is going to learn that I think I believe both are true. That we need to heal, and that the healing happens at our core, at our spiritual level. That we're all human beings. Unfortunately, human beings and specific human beings from specific regions started playing this game called race for a reason, right? And that's the game that we're playing. And so for us to become conscious, this is why I talk about it, so that we can look at the board and see, oh, we're playing a game. This is not real. This is not human. This is not respect. This is not dignity for all beings. We're playing this game, and this game is uh, entangled with power and privilege. And I think for all of us to become aware, that people need to be aware of their power, and that in their ignorance, they're causing a lot of violence. And
I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
and people who are on the other side of it need to come to consciousness that they have power, and
Okay,
that they can create change.
to me, those are two different issues. It's not the same issue. Because because if we are real, we're talking about humans, not beings. If we're humans, and if we're real, we all want power. You know what I mean? As humans, not as a being. Because we learn
But
sometimes.
why then, if you go back to the beginning of our conversation today, why
Why? Ask me the question, why?
do humans want power? What is it a part of that?
Because our nature,
Nature of what?
animal,
Animal as in, and I know it can be body, but it's
as
also
an
the
animal.
mind. Animal mind. We have the
Yeah,
reptilian
but the
mind. We
mind,
have the mammalian mind.
but you know better. You study psychology, so you know the mind develops. You know, you're not the same that you were when you were born, and after 2 and after 5 and after 9 and after, see, the mind develops. Unless you have a disability, then it's a different issue. But see, we learn to be human sometimes, but we don't learn to be beings. Sometimes it's better just to be a being instead of being a human. When I say to learn to be a human, it's in order for us to transcend, to become individuals. That's because of the habitats. And then probably that's what you're talking about, your races and their habitats. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean?
I don't
There's,
have to keep talking about race, but that's one of the major components to the reality right now. Like you said, gender as well, lots of, even
it's
religion.
even like you say, like privilege. What is a privilege? What is that you see? What is privilege to you? I mean, I can go back to many philosophers. They were living on the street naked, and they laugh at the king, you know, and they laugh and they
Yeah,
say, "I don't need you."
yeah, no, privilege really for me is the privilege to live your life how you want to live it, as long as you're not hurting people. The privilege to education, the privilege to food, the privilege to housing, and even the privilege to protest. Right now we're seeing that, not who, I don't want to, no, I do want to make it about race, because that's what's on my mind, you know and if we look at protest and privilege, who has the privilege to protest? White American citizens, as opposed to people of color that are American citizens. And the reason that I bring this stuff up is because this is stuff that people are dealing with as humans, and we're trying to give them wisdom, right? It's
And
both.
my 5 cents for today is see the beauty of living. You're alive. You're a creature of the creator. You have all the resources, even if you're disabled and you think you cannot think right, or you cannot see, or you can, whatever you think you cannot, you still have the resources. And if you don't, the creator that created us will provide someone or something. See the beauty. And if we are gonna use our minds, just use it to dream, to dream that you can do and you can be anything. But then you have to plan. But you don't plan like you plan and it's in concrete. No, we plan as the day go by. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Well,
not
that's
like,
why I use the language of intentions, right? And so that way, whatever you're planning, you're just holding on to your intention, whether it goes as planned or not.
yeah, you can call it intention, you can call it attention, you can call it focus, you can call it many different ways. Trust me, I read and I read and I will continue to read for as long as I'm alive. And I can tell you, since, you know, Gardiev, Schopenhauer, Bellinger, whatever. There's so
Mm-hmm.
many, and they were good. They're good. There's some temporary philosophers too. You can go back to Greek, but again, at the end of the day, it's not what I read. It's what I already prove, and I know that it works. If we don't see the beauty, we're gonna get stuck all the time. If we don't use our mind the way I will say, the way you said it, the way I think, the mind it's for, and for me, the mind is for to dream and to plan. To plan meaning like you had planned this for today, but things aren't going that way. Then you change the plan because the mind is yours. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean
Okay. So
because my
that
mind is mine, right?
yeah, some people think their mind is theirs, but it's full of other people's files.
Well,
See?
and that's what I think that's where I'm talking about in terms of just some of this stuff is these, how do we become aware and conscious of these files? And sometimes it is helpful to think about our different group experiences because you know what? The truth is that people do internalize it. They internalize because I'm a person of color that I'm less than, or that I'm ugly, or that I don't deserve, or that because I'm a woman, or because I'm a queer person, because of how many messages, how many files, if we stick with that analogy, I like it. And if every day society is giving you the file that says, you're ugly, you're dumb, you're dumb. You're gonna have lots of files in there. So
I
how
know.
do you?
Okay, let me try to. Once I took the class for real estate and I have my diploma, I'm a realtor. I just need to go to the county and do my test. And our teacher told us when the kids are born, the babies are born, there's a bunch of kids right there, bunch of babies. None of them say lawyer, doctor, realtor, none of them. So we want to become aware and become conscious. Okay, listen to what your your mind tells you. Listen to what your body tells you. Listen to what your heart tells you. Listen to what your stomach tells you, and that's it. See, when you're hungry, your stomach will tell you. When you need being loved, the heart will tell you. When you need to move forward, the mind will tell you. I mean, it doesn't matter. People call it chakras, whatever they want to call it. Trust me, I'm not into names. I believe names are just concepts, and it's not about the concept. It's not about knowing this and the names and all that. It's about living it. You know what I
And I
mean?
hear you. And another, going off with the same story is one of the stories that I heard from my teacher. And this is talking about how people develop and babies develop, right? And how if you go into a nursery room, like you said, all the
Mhm.
kids are in rows, right?
Mhm.
The nurse, as she's walking around, she sees the babies in the front because they're closest to her desk. And so those get more eye contact. And like you said, the needs of the heart, right? The needs of contact. Then the kids in the back. And she also, because we're all conditioned to like skinned people, with blue eyes. She sees all the light skinned, blue eyes babies, and she goes and she likes to pick them up and she likes to spend time with them. And so they're getting their heart needs met. But all the other kids didn't get their needs met. And that's one of the ways in which, the differences around how we get our needs met and the expectations around us getting our needs met get made. And so that's why, whether it be because of race, whether it be because of gender, whether it be just because that unique nurse has her own biases, which I think all of those are true. Um, you know, People are struggling. And so how do we support them around coming to consciousness when it comes to this stuff?
I said it. Helping them to listen to themselves. People don't like to listen to themselves. People like to listen to music. People like to listen to watch the. People like to do everything visual. You know about the kind of life we're living right now at this age, at the in esta era.
Mm-hmm.
What life are we living in this era?
The age of Aquarius, information.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you the way I say it, virtual life, virtual.
So,
Eso, vivimos una vida virtual, todo es virtual. And we got so much trapped into that we think it is true. Entonces, people need to feel. They need to feel the air. See? Feel the light. You know what? Feel your skin, feel your pores, feel your heart, feel your stomach. As we feel our parts, other parts, we need to learn to feel every part, our liver, our kidneys. You know what I mean?
and I know what you mean. And people, like you said, people don't want to do it. I teach meditation, and everyone
You
says,
can
I
teach,
wish I
you can teach.
should, but they
See,
can't.
the thing is this, when we teach, and this is from Maxwell, our beloved John, when we teach what we know, but to reproduce ourselves, we have to give ourselves. See, so if you're expecting for people to do as I say, you would be a different person. I would be a different person. We all would be a different person. We're not going to do as other people tell us, regardless if they were right or wrong. And that's good in one way. But at the end of the day, the purpose of all these is just for everyone to see the beauty of being alive. Remember the old song, born to be alive. It's nothing greater. We're gonna die. One day we're gonna die, and this is gonna be over. We have to live. And we have to live a way that the life is, if it's not the way I want it, at least it is, I like it, because it's my dream and it's my plan. We have a mind. You know what I mean? All that we have here, it's amazing. It's like the engine of a car. Do you know that inside the engine of the car, there's fire?
Mm-hmm.
There's fire going on.
In the
And there's water,
pistons.
and there's water going on. All the elements are going on right there. And that's what's
Mm-hmm.
making the engine running.
Yeah.
And same thing with all these. And I do believe every cell has its own mind. And we're not one unity, but we are millions of cells with every cell has a mind. But forget about all that stuff, and let's just concentrate on all we want. If this gets to someone or someone listen to it, is The wisdom of this is being alive is a privilege. Every day that we live is a privilege. And we are so privileged that we have a mind to think, that we have a heart to feel, that we have a stomach to think and feel at the same time. That's why when you're thinking and you're feeling, your stomach got crazy, and you feel like you want to go to a restroom. So we have all these. Just use it for the good. And when I mean the good, I mean the good according to your dream.
Yeah, and I think probably the the best way maybe is to, I think, take a step all the way back in terms of the mind and the dream and come back to the illusion. And I think that you alluded to that when you talked about vibration and when I mentioned that the mind is translating the frequency, is that this is an illusion and that in fact we are living in a dream. And that's something that at least I learned from Toltec, right? That we are experiencing a dream, and that's why we have multiple dreams. And through consciousness, we can choose a dream, right? That is aligned with our authentic self. And so that's because that changes the conversation into just all spiritual, and I think it can clean it up a little bit if we wanted to. And also, the reason I brought up all the stuff that I brought up is because these are, we can just talk about blocks and just say be present and be in awe. And the truth is that life is not that easy, and that life is, in fact, incredibly messy, and it at times can be incredibly difficult for some people to be in awe of being alive. Not so much for me. I every day I wake up, honestly, with gratitude for my mind, my body, my spirit, for my social location. I do think that Latinos have experienced oppression through colonization and then through these made up borders and all this. And I'm grateful to be brown. I don't want to be anything else. I'm grateful to be someone that is connects with masculine energy and feminine energy. I'm grateful for all these things that I would also say, in the same breath, are things that can be a part of my oppression.
Again,
So that's why I bring.
I believe in perspective and I believe in projection. It's the same as I believe in adaptation and evolution. You know, uh, I think it's just a matter of perspective. Like, but I understand what you're saying, and I do believe in the way about oppression and about all these and about all that. But I think the worst oppression is ourselves, that we oppress ourselves. You know, and I rather focus, like me, I focus more into oneness, ourselves, and then and it's not because I'm old. I always done that because see, that's what they say when you're old. They say when you're young, you want to change the world. As you get older, you want to change at least your family or your cycle, the circle of influence. Then when you get old, you realize that if you had done your part, maybe the whole world. But that was never my philosophy. I always think the same way. I think, and I had gone through not a lot, but I had gone through some things. But I never feel like being oppressed or I just use my instinct, the little molita right here.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I don't feel good here, I got two choices. I can leave or I can fight. And sometimes it's, in my opinion, is more prudent, wiser. Just you know what I mean?
Just to leave, yeah. And I mean, I think that's why I bring it up is because a lot of times I'll go back to the files. The files, they're not ours. The files that we take out and say, oh yeah, this is how I should react. This is how I should handle this situation. And I think for me, it's helpful for people to heal, to realize that, hey, those stuff that you believe about yourself that's negative, it's not by coincidence. And this is, I don't, we're not going to spend our time blaming anybody, blaming our parents, blaming white people, blaming our teachers, our schools, because that's a waste of time. And you should know that they were living unconsciously. And so
But
they spread the kind of hate that a part, that's what makes the human experience incredible, right? Most people are not going to be able to get that, but that we can experience so much love, but all that love only comes with also
yeah, we're not to promote
all that
division.
hate.
Yeah, we're not to promote division or to promote weakness. We are to promote unity and the strongest. So the thing is, it's just part of the process. It's just everything is part of the process. You know, it's just how long can we live? 80 years, 100 years? I'm already almost, I'm 58 almost. I'm counting 20 years. I say 20 more years, 20 more years. That's what I'm counting on, 20 more.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, I always thought I wanted to 20, 20, 21, 21, 21, 21. You know, right now I'm targeting 20 more. I'm like 20, 20. Maybe once I get to 20, I want another 10. But maybe no, maybe I say I'm done. I'm gone. So, but I want to make sure that 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 I live. You know what I mean? Que viví. De nada me sirve haber tenido 100 años si no viví ni uno. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not about how many years we're on the planet Earth. It's how, not even how soon, but I'm going to use that. How soon we realize that we are beings, that we're individuals, and we're here for a purpose.
That's hard because there's a lot of bullshit.
But we're not going to help spreading it. We need to find,
No.
we need,
And
like,
that's where the art is. That's why we're talking about the art of it, right? The art of living, the art of being awakened, the art of
see, if you don't, if people don't see the beauty of anything, you know, it's like I cannot imagine. I always wanted to have a lowrider, but you know how much it costs to have a lowrider in money and time?
a lot.
A lot. So I asked myself, do I really want to have a lowrider? You know what I mean? So it's the same thing with everything.
Well, that's how I mean, I was like, I want to be an artist, and I was like, am I willing to spend all my time and money to create, you know? And I
Yeah.
said, yeah, yeah, I am.
And then, and then and then don't think that you're thinking, because when you're thinking that you're when you think that you're thinking, you're just thinking what you're not supposed to think. You're just listening to the mind. The mind is telling you, what if they don't sell?
Oh yeah.
If they don't like it?
And then the mind starts saying, at least for me, you should have been working. You should have been working. You just spent, the last 3 months painting. You should have been working.
They'll be cleaning pools, Ali.
Yeah. You should be giving your dream away to somebody else, right? I mean, that's how I think of it.
Leave someone else.
Because if you don't have a dream, you're just gonna buy into somebody else's dream, and you're gonna put yourself into there, and you're gonna build their dream for them.
And it isn't bad if that's what,
No.
if that's what makes them feel that's what they are. But the thing that I think we're talking about today is about, I always use songs, right? It's like the Rolling Stone. I can't get no satisfaction. That
Mm-hmm.
if you're not satisfied, what can you do to change that? If you're satisfied fulfilling someone else's dream, if you are satisfied, whatever it is that you're doing, you know, let it be.
Then find joy. That's what I saw. That's what I
That's
say
it.
now.
That's
Find
it.
joy. If that's what you want to do, then do it and find joy.
But if not, and even if you do, remember, see the beauty and use what we have right here. Today, we talk about what we have here.
Yeah.
We have what we have here.
And next time we'll get into either like the heart or the body. I mean, both of those are going to be good. I think it's important to talk about mind and um,
Before we
we
go,
really
before
covered we really
yeah,
covered a lot of
yeah,
ground around
before we
that.
go, before we go to the others, let's try to work on ourselves, and then we can talk about races and all that stuff. But before we go into that, I think it's important for us to know that if we're not part of the solution, we're gonna become part of the problem. That's why when you see that people go out there to protest, most people, or I don't know how many, go out there with the right attitude, but like always, because we want changes out without changing in. We want something to change in the outside because we changed in the inside already.
And I'll say that as someone who does like to go out there, that the same goes for the people that are not going out there. And if you're choosing to stay at home and not take this fight on, that you should be looking internally as well and seeing, you know, what are you what are you getting right and what are you getting wrong, because a lot of times I think the people who are sitting at home, especially around this, are wanting to think about that for them, but like you said, they're looking externally, they're not looking internally,
That's it.
and then they're being manipulated in their own thinking while they think that they're doing the right thing, the people who are staying at home.
At the end,
It
no
needs to
matter,
be both. It really needs to be both.
at the end, in my opinion, it don't matter if you're out there or if you're not. It's what you, it's that what energy you have and what vibes are you creating. Sometimes not being there is better than being there if you're gonna go there just to create the wrong vibes. Anyways, so it's all about, in my opinion, again, it's all about information.
Yeah. And
It's all
there's a
about,
lot of ignorance, a lot of lack of information. And I think a lot, and people seem to be okay with that. And there's some people who have the privilege of being ignorant.
again, it's just,
It creates a lazy kind of consciousness, and it also creates division. And that's why I bring it up. I always think that we're in line and we're different, right? We're on the same chain, but we're linked. We're not the same link. And so this is me doing my part of the chain
at
and
the
bringing
moment,
in my link.
yeah,
At this moment, at the moment right now, if I didn't think, that's what I love actually about making
if I
art,
think I'm
is that
doing
I
the
get to
same
look
thing
at
at the
it.
moment, but I'm doing it as an old person, or I'm doing it as a pastor or Christian. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? If it was me, I will have you and I doing it as Christians, both,
Mm-hmm.
and me talking about salvation and about Christ and about all that, Christianity. But for now, this is what it is. And even if you're my son from my genes, doesn't mean, you are you. You know what I mean?
Well,
That's
and I think it's important for me to name. I think that Christianity is good or all that, and because Christianity chooses to be unconscious about race, it is and has been a tool for white supremacy around the world, and that's where for me it's hard to go in that direction. An acknowledgement of spirituality is important. Jesus Christ is cool. Holy Spirit is down. Even God themselves is legit. I can. read any kind of scripture and gain some wisdom from it. And I think this is where one of the major differences is, and where we're seeing, I think, the impact of Christianity's decisions to whitewash completely the religion and then
That
deny that race exists by taking on color blindness, upholding the privilege of some and the oppression of many.
but that's just your opinion.
That's my
Because
opinion.
because
Like
because
110%. That's why I say I.
no, because if you go back in history, maybe it isn't the way you put it, But again, it will take years, and then it's gonna take you from what you're doing to go to a different route. But I know that it isn't exactly, but that's how you feel it. That's what you think. It's
Yeah.
but again, history might say something different, and experience. All these people's experiences might say something different, and again, it's like, it's. Remember I told you about the story about the bird. The bird, it was getting cold, so all the birds were flying, and he said, "I'm not gonna leave," and then he stayed there. Once it got really cold, he wanted to fly, but it was so cold that he got frozen, so he fell, and then he
Mm-hmm.
was dying on the floor. And then a cow came by and on top of the bird, and he
Mm-hmm.
started going like, cow, but then he started feeling warm, so he came back to life. And then a cat heard the little bird. The cat came and cleaned the bird, and the bird was so happy, telling the cat, that cow, poo on me, thank you for cleaning me, and thank you for all these. But one thing the bird did not know, what was it?
That the cat has more privilege.
No, the cat was gonna eat him.
Exactly.
So not everyone that do you wrong, and not everyone that do you right.
Trust me. And I mean, I grew up thinking that exactly, that Christianity did me right, and then to find out that it did me wrong. And then I'm not actually, now I'm like not waiting for anybody to do me right, because I didn't have to make that mistake again. That there's going to be some other force out there that's going to say, "Oh, yes, you are blessed, Isaac. You truly are blessed." No, the lucky part for me is that I had to realize, or that I did realize, that the only person who can do that for me is me.
Maybe,
For
maybe,
me, if you can't do that for yourself, God bless whatever entity gives that to you.
maybe. Remember, not all people had the same privilege. You do have it. Not
And I do,
everyone.
yeah.
Okay. So don't make this easy. You make.
That's why I claim my privilege, though, in that sense,
Okay. Oh, again, trust me. I just told you about the theory of Helfenberg, that nothing's stable. Everything is moving. Trust me, you can go and read it. So we can say, I'm gonna do this, and we hope, and we expect, and we want, but doesn't mean it will.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, that's why you have to know the art of living, right?
Yeah, you have to enjoy it.
Because if you don't enjoy it, you're going to lose it.
You have
By
to,
the time you get to the
the
end, if it's
glory.
not what you planned, and that's what the whole time you weren't living in the art of it, you're going to get there and you are going to feel that way. You know what I'm saying? You're right. And that's where I practice, or exactly why I practice the art of living.
Yeah. Anyways,
And I think you do too. And that's one of the things that I appreciate about it,
I do, and I don't. And again, regardless of whatever people think, I believe in Christianity. I believe in God, and I believe in Jesus Christ, the Son of God. And
mm-hmm.
I know I can tell you and name you any philosophy. I can tell you and name you most philosophers. I mean, psychologists, and trust me, uh, it depends from what angle you see Christianity, but it also depends from what angle you see anything. But when you see wider, and you see the beauty, it's like again, uh, it says like one teacher one time he wrote on the blackboard, 9 times 1 9, 9 times 2 18. To make the long story short, at the very end he put 9 times 10 91. And everybody look at him and he say, you're wrong, you're wrong. He say, why am I wrong? He said, because at the bottom you say 9 times 10 is 91. And he said, and I am wrong because I put 9 times 10 91. What about from 1 to 9? I'm 9 times right. And I put 1 time wrong. And you're telling me that I am wrong?
I get that, and that's where for me, I don't tell anybody that Christianity is wrong. You know, I just tell people why I don't participate in that form of
Now,
spirituality
at,
anymore.
at the
Right
moment.
now, right now, yeah, exactly. And that for me, luckily, my privilege, and that's why we're here,
Mhm.
is that I had two parents
That
that
you
were
are
home
here. Yeah,
all
that
the
you are
time.
here, that we love you and we care for you.
That
And that's
yeah, yeah.
why we
And
want you to succeed.
And so that's a privilege that allowed me to expand my thinking, having two parents that were at home that I could count on. And then having two parents that even though you have your ideas already set, at least we could have conversations around spirituality. That's another privilege. A lot of people don't have a home where both the parents are there and where the parents are open to talking about spirituality, you know? And so I think all these privileges of mine, and that's why I'm grateful to be sharing my voice, are what allowed me to have this art of living that I can say I practice with joy.
Yep, yep, yep. Right on, Isaac. That's good, man. And again, we just go one thing at a time.
Yeah. And so thank you, Esteban Ruelas, Pops, Big Senior, for today's conversation. I really appreciate, um, these are the conversations that we have all the time, and most people are not willing to show that. And for me, it's so important. I think that I bring people into the conversations I'm having, especially these kinds of conversations that are important, that matter to me. They're not conversations that I'm just having for fun, but they're conversations that I think are going to add value to both of our lives, to our family, and to our community. And so I appreciate your vulnerability in sharing.
Well, we had these conversations forever, you know that. I mean, we always had. And we always agreed, and we always agreed that we disagree. And again, there's nothing wrong with agreeing that we disagree.
No,
That's why respect is for, you know.
yeah.
So I can only speak for myself, and sometimes not even for myself, because sometimes I might have a disability or be unconscious, or who knows.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Let's put that like that.
Yeah,
Anyway,
no, who knows?
it's just
So we'll keep on pedaling. We're gonna stay linked, and this is I'm going to encourage everybody to try on agreeing to disagree and mutual respect. It's such an important part of staying linked,
staying linked.
and even a necessary part.
Staying linked, not just like you say, generationally, like the young with the adults, the men with the women, and all any gender or whatever, and then also
Mm-hmm.
race. Doesn't matter if the next link to you is any color. It's not the color; it's the chain. It's being linked. It's fulfilling the purpose of this planet Earth. you know we want to
Yeah,
see we want to see we want to see the fishes live in the sea. We want to see the animals. We want to see everything. We want to you know
yeah.
we
We'll
want
see
to
the
keep
rivers
this earth
flow.
for another 1,000 years, whatever, million years, whatever it is. It's
Million at least.
whatever. It's Who knows? There are many theories, but again, we need to stay linked. Every planet,
Everybody and every creature,
every
and
creature.
even the earth. Like I said, the trees, get linked to the trees.
Yeah, go hug a tree. You're a
They
kid.
bring us oxygen. I love trees, so. Okay. So we'll see you on the next one. Thank you again, Pops, for bringing your voice here. And thank you all for listening to this. And we're going to be back with episode 3 next week.
Right on.
Right on. Peace.